Oh, you don't know about Straightedge. Okay.
No, it's Straightedge.
All right. Settle in for a story. All right. So let
Oh,
me tell you what
Straightedge.
Straightedge is.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you heard of Edgeware?
I've heard the name.
Okay. So Edgeware it's a polka dot associated project. What they're doing is what's interesting about it is their distribution. They're doing something called a lock drop on Ethereum.
Interesting. Sorry, keep going.
And so what that means is you take your Ether, you lock it in a contract for either 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And based on that, you get edge tokens.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is kind of like an airdrop, but you have to make some positive, you have to make some action to get it. And, by the locking, it's forcing an opportunity cost on you. And so that's kind of how they suppose it gets value or something. I don't know how much sense that actually makes or not, but
makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I know. But then they also did this thing where, if you don't want to lock it, you can also signal, which means you sign a message and don't actually lock your token. But if you signal instead of locking, you only get a 20% bonus.
As compared to locking, is that 100% bonus?
Yeah. But now here's the catch. Are you ready for this? The deployer of a contract is allowed to signal on behalf of all of the ETH that's in a contract.
Why?
Well,
parody.
Yeah.
Nice parody. Good job, parody. Gavin Woods getting that cash. Can't stop him.
So exactly. So on
fucking good. It's so transparent. It's almost unbelievable. It's so
right?
It's not even like you can't even pretend that it's for any other reason than the parody gets money.
No, exactly. It makes no sense. And just imagine the craziness. Like whoever deployed the wrapped Ether contract, which has like millions of ETH in it, is allowed to signal on behalf of it.
Free money.
And just to troll, Nick Johnson, he signaled on behalf of the DAO recovery contract.
Actually?
Yeah. And then he released the private key for it.
Seriously?
Yeah. He just tweeted out the private key for it.
That is fucking dope. Oh my god, I love Nick Johnson. That's such a good troll. That's such a good troll.
Yeah. And now, but now you're ready for the second kicker?
Yeah.
2 days before the
launch.
The start of the lock drop. Yeah, they announced something called the generalized lock policy, which means you don't have to use their lock contract. If you signal on behalf of a contract that acts like a lock, it actually counts as a full lock. And so those stuck parity funds, well, that looks like a lock to me, so it gets the full 100% of the distribution, not just 20%.
Do they manually evaluate that?
Yes.
That's horrifying. That is horrifying. That is absolutely horrifying.
Exactly. So,
Jesus.
Enter Straightedge, removing the ability to signal on behalf of a contract as a deployer. And this is going to be a 0-day fork. It's going to be the first fork that happens at the same time as the original chain. We're both launching on September 15th at the exact same time.
Wait, so you're part of this?
I created it.
Do you have an implementation?
I mean, it's the same as the Edgeware implementation. It's the same stuff, just a different Genesis file with different initial distribution. And there's an entire team behind it now. So I posted a website, and it went really viral.
Okay, you sent me this. I think you sent me this website.
And now there's
wow, this is.
Yeah, and then a bunch of people in the Edgeware community started reaching out to me. They're like, "Oh my god, I want to be part of this and help." And the original idea of the lock drop sounded cool to me, but then I got really sketched out by the entire the sketchiness of the generalized lock and everything. And so they're like, "All right, we want to help." And so there's a team and movement behind this. September 15th.
Wow. do you think there's a chance that I mean, I will say that I am very supportive of not having the generalized lock and not having contract deployers being able to signal about shit.
Yep. Do you remember this idea I had called the Byzantine battalion?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
this is
benevolent Byzantine behavior. Yes, this is, I always wanted to create this, but I was busy with Cosmos launch, but time is ripe. And this was the opportunity. I think that, because just the need here is so clear.
So now let's hold up. Let's justify ourselves. Let's justify ourselves, right? So the question here is, you have to. So there's this proof obligation I think you have where you have to actually prove that what you're doing is good, right? And so let's complete the argument, because it seems obvious to me, but let's just finish it off and make sure we agree. So the reason that this so here's the point. The reason that this Edgeware stuff is bad as is because it essentially gives a ton of people money in an unfair way, right? Like, the distribution is going to be very unfair, and it seems like the reason the distribution is going to be very unfair is because these people are just in Parity's pocket, and they're essentially pandering to Parity. Do they have a direct connection with Parity?
No. Ryan Zurer is one of their advisors.
Yeah, so there we go. I mean,
they work very closely with the Parity team.
I mean, that's close
enough. The team is called
now.
Commonwealth. The name of the company is called Commonwealth. I mean, they're great guys. Like, I really like them. We're actually working with them on some stuff with Cosmos.
And what did they say about your fork?
They are relatively supportive in that, they want it to be an experiment. I've been calling it we originally had some verbiage in there that they didn't like. So the tagline on the website used to say an ethical fork of Edgeware, and they were not pleased about that because they were like, oh, that implies that we are unethical.
Yeah. I would say it seems a little unethical to me.
Yeah, but so to fix that, we toned down some of the verbiage there.
Fuck that.
We're calling this an experiment. So here's the thing: Edgeware pitches themselves as a governance platform. What that means, I'm not quite sure, but we'll talk about that. What the use case of all this stuff is later. But what I'm positioning is this is the real governance experiment. Blockchains are about governance, and Edgeware is the control, and Straightedge is the experiment, and we're testing this off-chain governance experiment.
Yeah, but I think because of the Schelling point, nature of these things, it's calling it an experiment ruins the experiment. Like, the experiment is the fact that if you were to fully commit to this, that would be the experiment in my mind. This is some shadow version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a balancing act that needs to be, and it's hard. Yeah. Right.
No, I mean, I mean,
what is your point? Okay, so the benevolence of this.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So why is this benevolent, essentially? And I think it's benevolent because they're essentially what happened here was people in the design of this system, there were illogical design decisions that were created that make very little sense. Like, if you understand anything about smart contracts, the idea that a deployer is somehow the owner of a smart contract makes no sense. But this design decision was done in order to benefit a set of very powerful entities that are closely have relationships with each other.
So real quick, I know you're not going to use the verbiage of illogical. I am just going to flat out say unethical. I think that's unbelievable and absolutely reprehensible. And I think it's awesome that you made this fork. And I think this is in my mind, a perfect use case for the Byzantine battalion because it's so unbelievably defensible. Moreover, I think anyone who ever talks about contract deployers should immediately be ostracized as either fools or in the pocket of Gavin Wood, because my God, there's only one reason you would ever talk about that as a relevant thing, and it's to give Parity money.
I mean, the Web3 people made this argument. They were like, they're like, oh, people who deploy to contracts with a lot of ETH in it are probably really good developers, and so we should be reward. We want to get more good developers on Edgeware.
Yeah, but there's this like treatment. Okay, so because the same mechanism is servicing both these developers that they're talking about and the average user, what it ends up doing is completely disadvantaging the average user. Like flat and simple, we can say Edgeware is not built for people who hold cryptocurrency. It's not. That's not what it's made for. It's built for, realistically, Gavin Wood and its cronies. If you want to make this argument, it's built for the developers of these 6 successful DeFi protocols, right? It's Maker, whatever the hell. Those people are going to have all the money, right? That's who it's built for. And fine, but marketing it then as a experiment in governance for crypto users, whatever, is total bullshit in my mind. Like maybe you can make this argument if it was just a mechanism that serviced developers, but it's not. It's a mechanism that services everybody and clearly treats one group much worse than it treats the others.
Right. And so, that's where Straightedge came. And so I think so I guess a little bit of what my inspiration for this is, I've been following along with the Edgeware project for a while because, like I said, I know the team and, just.
Do I know any of them?
Yeah. I don't know. Oh yeah, actually you do. You do know them. Dylan Chen and Drew Stone.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
It's Drew Stone.
Yeah.
Wait, are they like leads in any sense?
No, they're the founders.
Oh.
So we just did I recorded a Conspiratus episode with Drew 2 weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago. It was at ZCon. That's where we came up with the idea. Drew and I came up with this idea. We were talking about it. He was explaining. Basically, I knew about this like weird signaling part, but then he explained to me the generalized lock stuff, and I'm like, okay, time for a fork. We're forking, boys.
I'm gonna send him a message. I'm gonna message his ass right now.
Yeah, and so he said he knew you, and he actually knew your dad as well. He said,
dude, me and Drew Stone was the first person I ever met at college who was into blockchain. Like straight up the first person. Yeah. He like I like the first time I met him, he was like writing a Solidity smart contract, and I was like, hey, like how's it going?
Yeah, I think he's like the CTO, I think, of Commonwealth.
Wow, that's really interesting. Smart guy. Do
you know Dylan?
Yeah, I know Dylan. Dylan and I met once. He also went to Penn. He's a Penn alum also.
Yep.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
So, I mean, the way Drew told me it, he seemed to make it seem that like these orders came from above, whatever that means, and that he recognizes that they're not a good idea.
Is it strange if I message them both in a group chat on Facebook and say, boys, what's up with this generalized locking mechanism?
You do you, man.
Yep. Boys, what's up with this generalized locking mechanism set?
Okay. But yeah, so, that's the story. What I care about from this, right, is I think that this is like this opportunity like fell on my. So essentially, the point of the Byzantine Battalion was to show, benevolent Byzantine behavior, and I want to show the world that hard fork. I think that I love blockchain because of governance, and I think that hard forks are the most interesting piece of governance that like blockchains have given us. But I think because of thus far, all of the hard forks, all of the community-led hard forks have been unsuccessful. So Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, Z Classic. Basically, Ethereum was the one successful hard fork because it was, it was controlled by, it was largely directed by the Ethereum Foundation. I don't want to get into that argument right now, but so given that, I want to show the world that look, a community hard fork can be successful, and this was just the perfect opportunity to. Yeah, no, it's like that.
It's such defensible behavior. It's such a defensible fork that I think I totally agree with you. I think it's like totally the optimal starting place.
Yeah, I think the combination of such a defensible fork and this novel idea of a 0-day fork, I think these two things together, I think it puts it in such a position for success.
No, I totally agree. Oh my God, I'm going to support it. Can I tweet support for it?
Yes, please do. Do you want to be part of the Straightedge team? Do you want to help out?
I mean, what does that even mean? I don't know. I don't know what Straightedge is, but I want to check it out. Hold on, totally. Yeah. Wonderlist, add it to the to-do list. Check out Edgeware. Bro, my to-do list.
We just wrote a long blog post, and we wrote an FAQ and everything. So yeah, you know, I think it's a fun. It's been taking up a lot of my time, but you know, I think it's something that's important to do.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's stunning. I think you should be commended. And I think that like if you do this successfully, it will totally like negate any negative impacts of you like becoming a dictator in Cosmos governance. And like I guess we'll just forgive you for that transgression as long as you continue to like continue with the beneficial Byzantine behavior.
See,
that's BBB, baby. BBB, beneficial Byzantine behavior.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. So this is why I was explaining this entire thing to Brian, and this is when he called me a blockchain populist.
Interesting. Yeah. This fits less with populism, though, because it's not like, I mean, it is effectively like you're pandering, kind of, but it's not really that you're pandering. Like, it's just ethical behavior. Like,
yeah,
like it's like saying, oh, you know, that guy's a populist because he stopped all the citizens from getting killed in the streets. It's like, oh, yeah, this is definitely like the people support him like a populist does, but it's probably just because they were getting killed in the streets, not because, you know, not because he just wants to support.
I mean, you should read the blog post that we wrote. I know, I think it's a really well-written blog post. I got help from other people on the team. Crips Hobcroft. There's this anonymous guy named Moose who's helping out.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah. So there's some cool. Yeah, it's a fun.
What happens if there's a 0-day vulnerability in your 0-day fork? Who's going to fix it? You guys got devs at all?
Yeah. So I've been learning. So what's been taking up a lot of my time is I've been learning a lot of Substrate recently.
Wow,
which is cool because it's good. I mean, one of my goals, one of the reasons that this, like I said, this taking up a lot of time, but one of my justifications to myself is. I mean, I've been meaning to want to learn Substrate for a long time.
Anyways. Yeah, no, it's a great way to convince yourself to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and because if I learn Substrate, then I can take the good ideas that are in there, because I'm sure they have a lot of good ideas, and port them back into the Cosmos SDK. And that's really,
What have you found any good ideas yet that are worth stealing?
I really like how in Substrate, I think they use like Rust macros to do this, but in the Cosmos SDK, we have like these like stores that you read and write to. But they just have like variables and maps, and like a KV store it looks like a map, and it just feels like you're dealing with normal data structures, when in reality the macros in the back are actually doing all the changes that were made, writing into the store. But the UX is so much nicer because the developer UX, right? Is because it's like, oh, I just feel like normal programming.
Yeah, it's less like using a library and more like just using the programming language as a normal thing.
Exactly. So I think that, keep in mind, I've only been working on Substrate stuff for like 2 or 3 days, but so far that's been like the main thing. I think that one of the cons is like, I think the tooling is just not that great right now. Like, I don't think
really? Is that a function of Rust or a function of Substrate?
Substrate. I think it's like, I think with time it'll get there, but for now it's just
like what tool, for example, like the testing stuff, or
there's no wallets.
What?
Yeah, the only wallet I could find is like a web one, but it requires you copy paste your mnemonic in to use it.
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, that's
weird. Damn.
Yep.
Whack.
So
that's cool. That seems super worthwhile. That seems like a very worthwhile thing to do.